10 minutes until the hour, and all this week we've been looking at TV goodies, some of the most popular and beloved series of all time. This morning, the Dick Van Dyke Show, a program that was actually canceled after its first season until the producers went out and found their own sponsor.
But then how do you know he's sick?
Well, there are symptoms.
What symptoms?
Well,
Come on, I'm the boy's father.
he turned down his cupcake.
He turned down his cupcake? And you didn't call an ambulance?
This was the first episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show. It set up what was then a unique premise, giving equal time to a husband's personal and professional life.
I don't think it's a good joke. What do you think, Sally?
I think it's a great joke.
Why do you think it's a great joke?
Because it's 5:30 and I got a date at 7.
I don't think...
Before, in many of the sitcoms, you didn't know what Dad did for a living. Or if you did, and they never showed it. And this was the home life and the business life. And I think that was different. And I think also the marriage was a little more up to date. There was something about Rob and Laura that were, you believed. As a matter of fact, a lot of people thought we really were married in real life, which was a high compliment to us.
You know, another thing that we, the audience, liked, Lucy was funny.
Yep.
Laura Petrie was funny and drop-dead beautiful as well. I mean, with the pants that you wore and you were dancing and things. This was, oh, well, I felt that, and I'm sure the fans out there felt that as well. Did you get people reacting to that as well? I mean, to the comedy as well as saying, this Laura, she's a cutie pie.
There was that, and it was controversial too. The sponsors, those all-important people, were very concerned about the housewife to whom they were selling their products, and would that housewife be offended by this television persona who wasn't wearing a little frock and a little apron, but who was actually wearing capri pants, which is what we called them back then. They were so afraid after that first year that they actually said to the producer, Danny Thomas and Sheldon Leonard and Carl Reiner, Mary can wear capri pants in one scene per show, and it must not, they must not cup under, whatever that meant.
Let's talk about the cast that surrounded you. Maury Amsterdam, Rose Marie. What was it like working with that cast?
Well, it was like being in college for comedy. You know, it was just the most creative, kind of volcanically creative atmosphere, and yet everyone was kind and sane, so that you were in an atmosphere in which you could absorb what you were being exposed to. It was the best.
Carl Reiner, in a word, is why it worked, who just was an absolute comedy genius, and is to this day. He cast it right, and then he wrote them, and I don't think it was anybody any better than Carl.
Alan, whatever you were going to say to Laura, I would rather you said to me.
Okay, Rob, if that's the way you want it. Rob, you're a beautiful girl.
I was devastated when that show ended. Just could not imagine how life could go on without that daily family, and you must have the same feeling. You all will eventually go on to other things and other places and other families with whom you feel the same camaraderie and love, but it'll never be the same, and it's just very special.
And as for the possibility of a reunion special?
No, a lot of the shows have done revivals and whatever they call them. We've always felt that, like Tom Wolfe said, you can't go back. We'd rather leave the memory of the show as it was.
No Dick Van Dyke reunion, but you can catch it nightly on Nick at Night. Dick Van Dyke trivia, originally written, Carl Reiner wrote it for himself. They said, no, we want someone else. The person who turned him down went on to star for years on TV, Johnny Carson.
No!
And then it was Dick Van Dyke on Broadway doing Bye Bye Birdie, and that's how they found Dick Van Dyke.
I love that.